Welcome back, online viewers. Welcome back to Greentech Live and Online. We are here for our second hybrid interview because here in the lobby I have with me Frans-Peter. However, online we have Dil from CO2 GRO. I will give the word to Frans-Peter because you will be hosting the interview. Good luck.
Thank you, and see you soon.
See you soon.
Hi Dil, how are you?
Good, Frans. How are you? How are things in the Netherlands?
Here in Amsterdam, it's great. So we have a great show here and a lot of knowledge and a lot of networking zooming around. Yeah. So we are going to talk about CO2 related to plant growth and horticulture. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Dil Vashi. I'm the marketing manager for CO2 GRO, and we're a Canadian company based in Toronto, but we do business all over the world.
Yeah, thank you. And CO2 GRO, let's call it directly. So what is the product you sell, or what is the service you sell?
So we have a patented technology that enables all growers in protected agriculture to supplement their plants with CO2. Regardless if it's high-tech or low-tech protected ag, our technology is able to deliver CO2 to their plants to increase their yields.
Yeah, and I think it's obvious for the audience that CO2 is one of the 3 or 4 most important growth parameters, besides water, temperature, etc. And could you tell a bit about, when we look to horticulture in general, what is a major tendency, and please also tell us why is regarding that tendency CO2 dosage so important?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, CO2 is one of the basic requirements for photosynthesis to help plants grow. In protected ag, especially high-tech greenhouses, you're able to increase the CO2 levels in the grow room, whether it's through purchased CO2 or through your heating system, CO2 as a byproduct. However, there's 2 problems with it. One is in the warmer months, when the greenhouses have to vent, most of that CO2 ends up escaping the grow room, so you're not able to get those higher levels to take advantage of better sunshine and so forth that you get in the summer months. And for places in warm climates where it's hot all year round, it's practically impossible to supplement with more CO2 because you're always venting.
Yeah, and does that mean that your major markets are in the more, let's call it warmer Mediterranean or subtropical climates?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
You know, even in Canada, in the wintertime, it's very cold, so the greenhouses can increase their levels. But in the spring through fall, it gets quite warm, and they're venting pretty much every day. And it's difficult to maintain levels even at 500 ppm, let alone 1000.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with, call it the modern Venlo type greenhouse with heating pipes and also CO2 hoses for CO2 dosage. But I think your system is different, so tell us a bit more about the application, please, Dil.
Sure. So as you said, most greenhouses use an air method, whether they pump it in through injections or pipes and so forth. We do it a very different way. We take CO2 gas and we infuse it into water to create a solution that's rich with CO2 molecules. The CO2 is actually dissolved in the solution. We then take that solution and mist it or fog it onto the leaves of plants, typically for 5 to 20 seconds, maybe every 20 to 30 minutes during the light cycle. And the goal is to create a microfilm over the leaf surface. And what happens is the CO2 in that microfilm diffuses into the leaf from the top of the leaf surface. And the plant does what it does with CO2, more carbon for more growth.
Okay, yeah. That sounds phenomenal. And what kind of crops are most relevant for this application? So when you make the distinction between for example, young plants or potted plants versus high wire tomato crops?
Technology is applicable to any protected crop, so long as it has leaves, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
So, the major crops are tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, berries, flowers, a lot of floriculture, orchids, and so forth.
And you have the equipment for humidification of the greenhouse, for the let's call it the traditional fogging systems. And can you connect your system to those, let's call it already the infrastructure in the greenhouse?
Absolutely. So long as it's a low pressure fogger,
Yeah.
and we have enough of them to be able to create the coverage on the plants,
Yeah.
we can plug and play very easily.
Okay. And what, assume that a high wire tomato grower is taking your application. What is his revenue? So he has to pay, of course, for the application, but what is his revenue?
Yeah, so the way we sell the technology is by the area of cultivation. So whether it's 1 hectare or several thousands hectares, we charge a purchase price for that area.
Yeah.
But we also offer long-term financing options, so you can pay it off over a number of years. At the end of the day, most growers would experience around 20% more production and revenue.
Okay.
And the operating costs are very minimal. So
Okay.
most of that extra revenue actually goes to your profit line.
And so, let's say I have to apologize that I'm focusing on tomato because it's an interesting crop and everyone is looking to tomatoes. And assume that in a modern system you can harvest about 80 kilos per square meter with some moderate lighting. And so you say it's 20% increase, so a grower goes from 80 to 69 kilos.
Likely, yes. It all depends from grower to grower. It depends what nutrients they're doing, what
Yeah.
their lighting is like, and so forth. But the rule of the thumb, if you can increase your carbon uptake into the plant,
Yeah.
is around 20%. Might be 10%, might be even 30%, but within that range.
Okay, but that means more than 10 euros per square meter at extra revenue, which is
Exactly.
which is a huge deal.
Exactly.
And-
And as I said, that revenue, most of it is actually profit, which is
Yeah,
really
yeah,
what matters.
yeah. But yeah, sometimes then you could wonder, so when this is the increase of yields, so everyone should use it. But is there also a disadvantage?
Not necessarily,
Yeah.
which is not a biased comment.
Yeah.
The biggest problem that growers have to overcome is when we tell them we have to mist their plants.
Yeah.
Most growers are very scared of that.
Yeah.
But with our technology, we actually are able to suppress the pathogens
Yeah.
that growers are worried about when you mist your plants.
And-
Because the solution has a pH change.
Yeah.
And so because of that, it's a double benefit.
Yeah, yeah, and I can imagine that you are working at the vitality, the health of the plant, so that they have a better resistance to pests and diseases. So, but I see what the grower's anxiety could be, and he has to overcome that. And
Exactly.
and how do you start with that? So assume that the grower says, I won't mist my crop because of the risk of X, Y, Z. And then you have consultants to help him, or how does that application process goes along?
So normally what we do, now that we've been in market for about 2 years almost, is we point to other customers.
Yeah.
And say, happy to set up a referral call. And our
Yeah.
current customers will explain to them that, look, at first we were scared, we've been using it for a year, and we don't see any issues.
Yeah.
The other thing is we offer a feasibility or a trial.
Yeah.
So a grower can take 5 rows and apply our product.
Yeah.
The 5 neighboring rows is control. They can see the yield. They can see the fact that there's no pathogens.
Yeah.
And that's really what gives them the confidence to buy it for their whole facility.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we have to go to finalize our interview deal. What's topic which we haven't discussed yet? What would you like to give the audience?
Well, with respect to CO2, in Europe at the moment, especially in the UK, there seems to be a big shortage of CO2. And in the Netherlands, from my understanding, is there's potentially some taxes and so forth, regulations that are coming that make it more difficult to use CO2 in a traditional way. This is where our technology, I think, will have the biggest impact because A, you're not losing CO2 in the air, so it's much more environmentally friendly. You're using about 90% less CO2.
Okay.
And two, when you have shortages of CO2, you need, if you're able to use less to get more,
and so
that's much more better.
In other words, you say that also a life cycle analysis is much more positive with your application.
Exactly. We try and reduce the ecological footprint of the grower.
And I think that's a nice statement, Deal, to end this interview, if you agree with me.
I agree, Frans.
Yeah, and I would thank you for this interview, the nice discussion, and hope to see you in June 2022 at the Greentech Amsterdam show here in Holland.
Yes, I'm looking forward to being there in person next year.
Okay, see you then. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Bye, everyone.
Well, thank you, Dale, for the interview, for being here online during the Greentech. Also, thank you, Frans-Peter, for taking over the hosting position for me in the lobby. That looked like an interesting interview, correct?
Absolutely, yes. I love to talk about the business insights, but also the impact at growers level. So what's his advantage? What we call that, what customer pain is this company is CO2 GRO solving. So that was a very interesting discussion. Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity.
Of course, and I think that the online viewers, also of course the live viewers, will learn a lot about this interview.
I'm sure. Yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you so much.